The invocation. Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartribhyo Vamsharishibhyo Mahadbhyo Namo Gurubhyaha Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavad Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutravashi Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Ishvaro Guru Ratmeti Murti Veda Vivagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. The Gita Dhyana Shlokam. Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudramarutaha Stunvandi Divya Istavai Vedai Sangapada-kramo Vanishadai Gayanti Yam Samaga Dhyanavastita Tadgatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yogino Yasyandam na vidussura suragana Devaya tasmai namaha Devaya tasmai namaha Devaya tasmai namaha. Om. We were discussing the 20th verse. There is the Jivan Mukta, which is being discussed. There are 4-stage portrait of Jivan Mukta given by Shankaracharya in that Karma Vichara Prakarana. The first stage is Karma Phala Asangatyaga. The abandonment of the extreme desire for the karma phalas. It is not an act of will, but the natural consequence of purnata obtained by the jnana. As a satisfied person naturally does not cling to the food after having completed his eating, he doesn't stay there. Same way, the jnana brings the purnata in the Jivan Mukta. And since his purnata is due to the abidance in the Atma, he doesn't have any inclination toward the karma or karma phala asakti. He is also the Nitya Tripta Jnani. Naturally happening that Nitya Tripta means eternally happy. The stage 2 is when he is Nitya Triptada, that the eternal satisfaction in the Atman as the Ananda Swarupa. This Nitya Tripti is not a mental experience. It is a being of fullness and the recognition of Atman's intrinsic fullness, which is Purnamada Purnamidam, which is, we all know about it. The third stage is the Nirashrayata, or the sought after dependency on the external means. Sarva Bhutanam Ashraya Atman is his Ashraya. That is the abidance of all creation is in Atma or Brahman. That is his also Ashraya. That means it is his substratum, or the very essence of existence is his Ashraya, means the dependency or the sought after. This is a freedom from the Vishayasakti, attachment toward the objects, because he may have a vairagya towards objects, but it is not that type of a detachment which we are talking about. The seeing of oneness of the same existence in everything. And there is no one here attached to it, but everything is in existence. When this beingness is the dependency, which he also understands that it is not a object-based dependency, but a dependency of self-existence. When you know that as a knowledge, or when you are experiencing that, the ego which separates you from others, that becomes absent in the Jivan Mukta. So Nirashraya means, actually speaking, is the absence of the ego, individuality. Because he sees that there is no separatedness in him from others, and it is the commonness, Sarva Bodhatma. That is what his experience is. These are all the experiential or aparokshanibhuti part of the Jivatma. But then how does he perform in the world? That is what the sloka says, that abhipradopi naiva kinchit karoti saha. The Jivan Mukta acts fully, completely, abhiprata, pravartomi. But as Atman, the akarta, akartrutva, the non-doership of Atman is his identity. That is the karmani akarmaya paschet. That is a darshana or a vision which has now become the sthiti or the abidance, stable abidance. Not as a memory or a momentary glimpse of the akartrutva, but the continuous unbroken recognition of the abidance in this non-doership aspect of the self. So, from these points we can see that Nirashraya Sthiti is also mentioned in the 3rd chapter, 46th verse of Mandukya Karika. Nirashraya Sthitaha. The condition of non-support described as the liberation itself, moksha, as a Nirashraya. So having no support, but the freedom of needing no support is what exactly felt by the akartrutva, due to the akartrutva. Because kartrutva or the doership needs a support on the externality of the objects. Then only action can be performed. But when you perceive everything in the existence as the substance or the substratum, there is no external support on which you can attribute activity. Therefore, the Pandita or the Jivan Mukta Nirashrayata is the most sovereign form of freedom. the complete self-sufficiency of Nitya Purnata of Atman. There is this paradox which is between the Abhiprato Naiva Kanchit Karoti is the crowning Advaitic statement, which always should be kept in our mind, because whenever we experience the dependency and the activity and all those things, this one sentence should remind us, Abhipratopi san naiva kinchit karomi. I do not perform any action, even though apparently it may be seen as activity, because the next verse is fully talking on that. Therefore, the resolution, akartrutva, is the paramarthika level, not a prescription for physical withdrawal, but a detailed description of Atma's eternal nature. The prarabdha continues for the body acts from the point of view of others, and the Pandita does not obstruct this, or he does not identify with the body. Therefore, there is no artificial nivritti at the paramarthika level. He feels that there are no acts at all. Both are simultaneously true. The Vyavaharika, Aviprata, engaged in activity at the paramarthika level, Naiva Kinchit Karomi. This is precisely the double seeing of Karmani Akarmaya Pasyet, Akarmani Karmaya Pasyet, which we saw that. And it is also a Siddhi. Siddhi means accomplishment. It is called the Naishkarmya Siddhi. Naishkarmya means state of actionless, an accomplishment of actionlessness. Sureshwaracharya's great work is called Naishkarmya Siddhi, a book itself. The primary textual basis in which Naiva Kinchit Karoti is what Naishkarmya Siddhi is all about. The state of non-karma. Not a physical inactivity, but Atman's essential non-agency, which is recognized by the Jnani as his own Swarupa. And that constitutes his liberation as Siddhi. So Naishkarmya Siddhi is the goal of the entire Karma Vichara Prakarana. So this 20th verse, the portrait of Jivan Mukta in action, is complete in its essential form. The verse has compressed into 4 padas with the entire Advaitic resolution of karma and jnana tension. The inner transformation is karma phala asanga, abandoned, tyaktva. At the inner level, inner state, it is nityatrupta nirashraya. The outer engagement is in the form of abhipravarta, completely without residual engagement. But a paradoxical reality is that even though he is in that complete engagement, Naiva Kinchit Karoti, nothing is being done. This is the living embodiment which Akartaram Avyayam. Krishna said that Aham Akartaram Avyayam, Vidhi Akartaram Avyayam. So the Pandita who has heard Vidhi Akartaram Avyayam, know me as the Akarta, has not merely understood it intellectually, but has become it existentially as a reality. Acting fully in the world while Atman remains eternally and absolutely the non-doer. So the karma vichara continues in the verse 21 and 22 with further characterization of the conduct of the Jivan Mukta. Nirashir Yadachittatma, that is free from expectation. Yadachittatma means controlled by body and the self, mind. Acting with the body alone, indifferent to the dvandvas. Before, Yajna Prakarana starts at the 23rd verse, where all of this Pandita's action is revealed as the supreme Yajna. This attitude with which he is Abhipravarta, that is the Yajna, as an offering into the fire of Brahman. Brahmarpanam Brahmahavir, Brahmagno Brahmanahutam. Okay. So, the Bhashya says that Tyakta karmasu abhimanam phalasangam cha tyaktotena jnanena. Having abandoned the sense of doership in actions and attachment to their results through the knowledge already described. Nityatruptaha nirahanka cha vishayeshu ityartaha. He is ever content and free from craving of objects of senses. Nirashraya means ashraya rihita. He is without dependence. He relies on nothing. Ashraya nama yad ashritya purushartham sisadayati adayashyati. Support means that upon which a person depends in order to achieve a desired goal. When that is absent, it is called nirashraya. Drishta adrishta ishta phala sadhana ashraya rihita ityartaha. Shankaracharya says that he is free from the reliance on the means that produce visible or invisible desired results. Vidusha kriyamanam karma paramartataha akarma eva. Actions performed by the knower are in reality inaction. Tasya nishkriya atmadarshana sampannatvad. Because he has realized the self as actionless. His own self as actionless. Not some self is actionless or Atma is actionless. It is his own nature or his own Swabhava or Swarupa is actionless. Tena evam bhutena suprayojana abhavat. For such a person, there is no personal purpose in action. Sasadhanam karma parityaktam avyayam eva iti prapte. Thus it follows that the actions along with their means should indeed be abandoned. Tataha nirgamam asambhavat. But if withdrawal from action is not possible, loka sangraha chikirshaya shishta vigrahana parijihishayava. Out of desire to uphold the world, the order of the world, or in order to avoid the criticism of the wise. Purvavat karmani abhipravruto api. Even if he continues performing actions as before, nishkriyatma darshana sampannatvat na eva kinchit karoti saha. Because he has realized that actionless self as his own self, he truly does nothing. Then before the next verse, Shankaracharya says, Yaha puna purvokta viparitaha. But one who is different from the previously described, like the type of sage, prat eva karmarambhat, even before undertaking any action, brahmani sarvandare pratyagatmani nishkriye sanjata atmadarshanaha. He has attained the realization of the inner self, the Brahman, which is actionless, present within all beings. That is Sarvantara. Sa drishta adrishta ishta vishaya vivarjitataya. He is free from desires for seen, unseen results in this world or the next world. Drishta adrishta arthe karmani prayojanam apashyan. Seeing no purpose in action meant to achieve worldly or otherworldly results. Sasadhanam karma sanyasya. He renounces action along with its means. Sharira yatra matra cheshta. He engages only in the minimal activity required for sustaining the body. Yadi jnana nishtaha. He is a renunciate, established in knowledge. Muchyate. He becomes liberated. Ityetam artham darshayitum aha. To illustrate this, Krishna now says the 21st verse. So, the 20th verse delivered the central paradox of karma vichara. Karmani abhiprabhoti nisna kanchit karavati saha. The Pandita is fully engaged in the action, yet does nothing at the paramarthika level. In the verse 21, now he concretizes that paradox through three further qualifications. That is of the Pandita or the Jivan Muktas. Inner and outer condition. And then makes a direct soteriological statement that na apnodi kilbisham. That means the Pandita does not incur. Kilbisha means sin or papa or moral taint. The 20th verse describes the paramarthika truth, naiva kinchit karodi. Whereas the 21 describes as the practical vyavaharika context that expresses the truth. So having described the paramarthika level, the Krishna is now telling abhipravrittopi san. That abhiprata, how is he working in the vyavaharika level. So 21 is the bridge verse between the metaphysical portrait of the Jivan Mukta and the culminating description of a Yukta before the Yajna Prakarana, which will start from 23rd. Therefore, the verse introduces three new compounds. Nirashri, Yatachittatma, Tyakta Sarva Parigraha. We will see what are they. And then specifies the scope of the Pandita's action through crucial qualifier called Shariram Kevalam. That means only the body alone is functioning. Together these three, the establishing of the precise Vyavaharika contours of the Jivan Mukta's engagement in the world is picturized by Krishna. The verse goes like this. Nirashir yatachittatma tyakta sarva parigraha shariram kevalam karma kurvan apnodi kilbisham. Nirashir yatachittatma. There are two, nirashi and yatachittatma. What is nirashi? Without wish, desire, or free from expectation. Nirashi means, ashi means, asha means expectation. Nirashi means without expectation actually. Yata chittatma. There is a word comprising of three separate words. It's a compound. Yata plus chitta plus atma. But when they combine together, it becomes one whose chitta and atma means andakarana both put together are restrained or controlled. Yata means restrained or controlled. Chitta means chitta plus atma. Here atma is not the self, but atma is the body-mind complex here in this particular context. Tyakta sarva parigraha. Tyakta means abandoned. Parigraha means all forms of attachments toward that. Graha means to grasp. Parigraha means everything which is included. Shariram kevalam karma kurvan. The body, Sharira means the body, pertaining to the body. Kevala means alone, merely or exclusively through the body. Karma, action. Kurvan is is performing or doing. Na apnodi kilbisham. Na means no, negative. Apnodi means pervades, attains, obtains, reaches. Kilbisham is the word for sin, moral taint, guilt, evil, papa. So Nirashir, Ashis is the most refined or ritual sanctioned form of Phalakangsha, Asha. Distinct from gross worldly karma, it is distinct from desire. There is a karma phala sangha, that is the bondage between the action and the fruit is due to this. So Nirashis is without ashis means free from all expectation of phala. The expectation of the phala or the fruit is the reason why people engage in the activity. So not merely without the gross karma, desire for worldly object, but without even the subtle ritual context of expectation that even one's dharmic actions should produce a specific result like Swarga, Punya, Adrishta, etc. So Nirashi is distinguished from the Vairagya of Sadhaka. Ordinary Sadhaka practices relinquishment of expectation as a sadhana. It involves effort and many hits and misses, lapses. Whereas the Pandita, when he is Nirashi, when he is free from expectation, it is naturally and permanently because of the Jnana Agni has destroyed the root of the expectation. See, expectation comes from apurnata, incompleteness. So that incompleteness has been burnt in the fire of knowledge. Therefore, there is naturally and permanent absence of expectation, which in other words is Nitya Tripta, which was mentioned in the previous verse. The hope that the future phala will bring satisfaction is not there in the case of Jnani. It doesn't arise in him because his satisfaction is already in the Swarupa of the Atman which he has attained. So the progression from 20 to 21, from Karma Phala Asanga Tyaga to Nirashi, is one who becomes free from the anticipatory wish for the fruits of action. So this is an asanga. Asangoham, 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 punah punah. That is his statement. He is non-attached to anything. It is not a detachment from something. It is a non-attachment. Yata Chittatma, when it is taken as Yata means that which has been brought under discipline or brought under samyama, equanimity. Chitta is the sankalpa or memory or intention or memory or repository of vasanas and samskara. That is the chitta. Chitta is the stream of consciousness as it flows through the samskaras, a record keeping of intention forming dimension of the inner instrument antakarana, from where the individuality identification is maintained. So when it is yata means subdued, restrained or controlled through samyama, equanimity. Not only the chitta, but even his Atman here, used not as the highest paramarthika sense as Brahman, but in the secondary Gaunatman, is the self-body-mind complex, as the Jivatman, as Deha Indriya Manas, is the Atman here. Therefore, the Andakarana in its complete sense, including the physical instrument of the senses, external, and the internal mind, memory, intentions, etc. So the Yada Chittatma is one whose mental stream and the body-mind totality are restrained and controlled. As a compound, one for whom the Chitta and the Atma, Jivatma, have been brought under control, being the attributes of the Pandita being the possessor of these attributes. So, Yata Chittatma is a natural Sama, Dhamma and of the Pandita, of the Sadhana Chatushtaya Sambhati. The inner tranquility of Chitta is the Sama, restraint of the inner organ, and the control of Atma, Jivatma, in its physical sense of the sense organs, etc., is the Dhamma, restraint of the outer instruments of Indriya and the body. But Shankaracharya emphasizes that in the Pandita, this restraint is effortless, not as a disciplined practiced by the sadhaka who must actively work to restrain the Chitta and the Atma. In the case of the Pandita, it is the natural stillness out of the equanimity born out of the knowledge, and for him there are no vrittis, mental modifications in the Andakarana. So Kama Sankalpa no longer arises in such a person, and he is a Nirashi, because when these two happens, his Chitta and Atma becomes Yata, means restraint. So the Yada Chittatma is thus not a practitioner of restraint, but one in whom the need for restraint has been dissolved by the identification of the Atma. The next compound word is the Tyakta Sarva Parigraha. Tyakta means abandoned or relinquished. Sarva means all, every, without any iota of reminder or anything left out. Parigraha means actually grasping, possession, acquisition or accumulation. So the accumulation of material possessions beyond what is immediately necessary. The parigrahatar, or the one who does that, grasping of object for security, status or pleasure, is not there in the case of a yogi or a pandita. In the Patanjali's Yoga Darshana, aparigraha, non-grasping, is one of the 5 yamas, foundational ethical restraint. Whereas the Tyakta Sarva Parigraha here is the complete embodiment of aparigraha, not as a practiced restraint, but as the natural condition of a Pandita. So Shankaracharya specifies this outer dimension of the Pandita's condition, complementing the inner dimension of Nirashi Yata Chittatma. So here also the 2 levels of parigraha that has been abandoned, has been abandoned by the Pandita. The outer parigraha means a physical accumulation, like material possession, wealth, property, necessity for security, etc. The Jivan Mukta possesses only what is prarabdha naturally brings to him. Yadrichala Vasantushta, the next verse will come that. Naturally brings what is required for the body's maintenance. Sharira karma matra, next pada. Whereas the inner parigraha, the mental accumulation, is the cognitive claiming of possessions as mine, born out of the mamata, the mindness, ownership, M-I-N-E, mine, which is subtler and more consequential from form of parigraha. Even if the body formally possesses nothing, if the inner instruments, antakarana, maintains mamata or proprietary attachment to things as mine, the parigraha persists at the mental level, antakarana level. The Pandita's Jakta Sarva Parigraha includes the dissolution or dissolution of even the Ahankara and Mamakara. There's no self in it, individuality. The fundamental Meena Adhyasa upon the superimposition of mind upon the objects, which is itself a consequence of Ahankara Adhyasa, superimposition. Therefore, the Advaitic ground of Aparigraha, the Pandita recognizes the Atman as Purna, already possessing everything as its own. Yatra Anyat Pasyadi Anyat Shrunoti Anyat Vijanati. There is nothing outside him or other than him. So already possessing everything as its own Swarupa. The impulse to grasp external objects or inner requirement, both are not there because he is Purna from inside and outside. Shariram, pertaining to the body or bodily, Shariram Karma. But what precisely is this Sharira Karma is referred by Krishna here? There are two types of interpretation, both complementing each other. Sharira Matra Vyapara, activity of the body alone, actions that are purely physical, like eating, sleeping, moving, breathing, elimination, and minimal body activity is required for the body's maintenance and functions. The Pandita performs these and nothing beyond. Means there is no accumulation, no enterprise, no action for fruit of action beyond the body's natural maintenance. That is the one interpretation of Sharira Matra. Then second one is Sharirena Kartavya. What must be done by or through the body. This is where it makes sense for the statement from Krishna. All Swadharma, prescribed actions that are necessary, required by bodily engagement. Chadurvarnyam Maya Srishta, Guna Karma Vibhagashaha. So all those realization is on for the Swadharma maintenance. As a Kshatriya into fighting, as a Brahmana into teaching, as a Vaishya for trading, etc. But performed purely through the body, without the inner identification of Atman as Karta. Atman is Akarta. That is the identification he has. Therefore, the Shariram qualifies the locus of action for the Swadharma maintenance. And it is not the scope. Therefore, signaling that the Atman remains Akarta while the body acts. This is the what it was said, Abhipravritto Visan, Naiva Kinchit Karoti. Kevalam means exclusively or merely. As an adverb, only bodily actions. That means merely the body is in engagement, not the self. The Kevala is philosophically decisive, saying that it restricts the Pandita's action to Sharira Karma alone. Therefore, it is eliminating the action for Phala beyond the bodily maintenance It eliminates action driven by the kama sankalpa. It eliminates the action with the kartrutva abhimana, the atman claiming doership. It eliminates the action motivated by ashish or expectation. It eliminates action involving parigraha, accumulation. Therefore, Kevalam thus qualifies Shariram Karma into the purest or the most minimal form. What remains when the above is stripped away is Sharira Dharana Matra. Kurvan is ongoing action. The body is, as long as body is in function, this is an ongoing action in the body. So the Pandita is perpetually in action performing Shariram Kevala Karma. This is the continuous mode of engagement in the world, not a special occasional involvement or a practice. So Shariram Kevala Karma Kurvan, when the statement is made by Krishna, the precise Vyavaharika specification, Karmani Abhipravritto Visan, that is what is meant by here. The full engagement in action, now specified as engagement only from the point of view of Sharira, Karma. At the physical level, the Pandita acts minimally for the maintenance of the body, driven by the Prarabdha. No surplus accumulation, no enterprise, no action for the purpose of fruits of action, etc. At the philosophical level, Pandita acts in the Swadharma maintenance, Kshatriya fighting, etc. This is the Naiva Kinchit Karoti aspect of the Pandita through the Kevala Karma Sharira. Apnodi Kilbnak, Apnodi Kilbisham. Which means when he does like that, he does not incur moral taint. The Pandita Sharira Karma Kevala generates no kilbisha, no papa or no binding negative residue. Therefore, na apnodi kilbisha. The specific consequence of Pandita's four qualification, Nirashi, Yatachittatma, Tyakta Sarva Parigraha, Sharira Karma Kevala. So, why does that Sharira Karma Kevala doesn't generate Kilbisha or the Papa or the sin? Because Kilbisha, moral stained or Papa Lepa or the sin arises from the same mechanism as Karma Bandha, generally due to Kartrutva Abhimana plus Phala Akanksha plus Raga Dvesha driven action. So there should be the ego that I am the doer. He will be having the desire for the fruits of action, and based on the achievement or the failure, he will have raga or dvesha in all actions. Since all the three are absent, they are in the Pandita who is Nirashi, Yatachittatma, Tyakta Sarva Parigraha. The Kilbisha generating mechanism does not operate. Therefore, for even the body performs actions that might appear externally to be acting for generating the Kilbishas, or like a Kshatriya killing in battle, or a judge punishing a criminal. The inner absence of Kartrutva Abhimana and Raga Dvesha is the reason why there is no Kilbisha adhering to it. So for a Ajnani, even apparently the virtuous action like the dharmic action, Swatik Karma, performed with Kartrutva Abhimana and Phalakangsha, these are there in the Ajnani. Therefore, in the form of samskara and punarjanma, the subtler kilbisha is generated. Whereas for the Pandita, even apparently adharmic actions like killing in the war, etc., Dushtavada, killing of slayers or evildoers or adharmis, are performed as Shariram Kevala Karma, without Kartartva Abhimana. Therefore, no Ashis or Parigraha. And that is the reason why no Kilbesha is or no sin is generated in the case of the Pandita. The action is like the sun shining on both pure and impure. The sun incurs no taint from what it illumines. Same way, the Pandita's witness Atman, Sakshi, is what he is, not the body. Therefore, no Kilbisha from what the body does in the performance. It is being observed by the Pandita as a Sakshi. So, na apnodi Kilbisham is actually the karma bhai na badhyate in the 14th verse, which was said that. So these two are the same freedom described from two different angles. The 14th verse is from the angle of bandha, moksha, bondage. Whereas 21, this verse is from the angle of moral taint or acquired sin. Therefore, together they complete the picture of a Jivan Mukta's complete freedom from all negative karma consequences. So when all the three roots are negated, Ashis, Chitta Vritti and Mamata, the mechanism of karma generating Kilbisha simply has no operative component. And because of that, the verse is as a transition to Yajna Prakarana is getting ready. So Shankaracharya notes the Shariram Kevala Karma Kurvan Api Apnoti Na Apnoti Kilbisham is the immediate preparation for the Gata Sangasya Muktasya Jnana Vastita Chetasa Yajna Yacharataha Karmam Sangramam Praviliyate. The 23rd verse, but we have one more verse in between. The 23rd verse is saying, for one who is free from attachment, liberated, with mind established in jnana, acting as yajna, all karmas completely dissolves. The Sharira Karma Kevala of 21st verse, which we are now completing, is the negative specification of karma stripped of all Kilbisha generating elements. 23rd verse, Yajnaya Achara Karma, is the positive specification. The same karma now offered as a yajna into Brahman. Together they constitute the complete description of the Jivan Mukta's action. The Bhashya is like that. Nirashi Nirgadaha Ashishaha Yasmat Saha Nirashi. He is free from desires, one from whom all expectations, longings have departed. Yada Chittatma Chittam Andakaranam Atma Bahyaha Karya Karana Sangataha Tau Ubau Api Etau Samyatau Yena Saha Yata Chittatma. So he is describing the Yata Chittatma. He has controlled the mind and the body. The internal organ, mind, and the external aggregate body, including the senses, both are restrained. Such a person is called Yata Chittatma. Tyakta Sarva Parigraha. Tyaktaha Sarvaha Parigraha Yena Saha. Tyakta Sarva Parigraha. He has abandoned all possessions, or one who has given up all forms of acquisition and ownership. Shariram Sharira Sthiti Matra Prayojanam. He performs actions merely for the maintenance of the body. Kevalam Tatra Abhi Abhimana Varjitam. Even here, without any sense of ego or identification. Karma kurvan na apnodi prapnodi kilbisham. Even though acting, he does not incur any sin. Anishta rupam papam dharmacha. Neither the demerit as sin or even merit as virtue. Both are not being accrued by him. Dharma api mumuksho kilbisham eva. Bandapadaga tvad. Even merit is a form of bondage for the seeker of liberation, since it leads to further bondage. Tasmat tabhyam muktaha bhavati. Therefore, he becomes free from both merit and demerit. Samsarat muktaha bhavati ityartaha. That is, he has become liberated from the samsara totally. Shariram kevala karma ityartaha. Kim shariram sharira nivrityartam shariram karma abhipretam ahostit sharira sthiti matra prayojanam shariram karma iti. In the phrase mere bodily action does it mean the action performed by the body or action meant only for maintaining the body? Uchyate is explaining that answer to the question raised by an objection. Yada sharira nivartyartam karma shariram abhipretam syad. If bodily action means any action performed by the body, tada drishta adrishta prayojanam karma pradishaddam api sharirena kurvan apnoti kilbisham iti bruvataha viruddha abhidhanam prasajyeta. Then it would imply that even prohibited actions done by the body would not produce sin, which is contradictory. Shastriyam cha karma drishtadrishta prayojanam charirena kurvan na apnodi kilbisham iti api bruvataha aprapta pradisheda prasanga. Okay. And it would also wrongly imply that even scriptural actions producing visible and invisible results do not lead to consequences, which contradicts the scripture. Sharira karma kurvan iti visheshanat kevala shabda prayoga cha. Because the specification, bodily action, and the use of the only kevalam. Vang manasa nivartyam karma kurvan prapnodi kilbisham ityuktam syad. It would wrongly suggest that actions done by the speech and mind produce sin, while the body actions do not produce sin. Kevalam shariram. That it is mentioned like that. Tatrapi vang manasabhyam vihita anushtanupakshe kilbisha prapti vachanam viruddham. Even then, it would contradict the case where scripturally prescribed mental and verbal actions are performed. Pradishiddha seva apeksha api bhudartha anuvada matram anarthagam syad. And in that case of prohibited actions, it would become a mere statement of fact without any purpose. The correction interpretation accepted. Yada tu sharira sthiti matra prayojanam shariram karma abhipredam bhavet. Tada drishtadrishta prayojanam karma anyat kurvan. But the bodily action means action performed solely for the maintaining the body, then refraining from all other actions aimed at visible or invisible results. Taihi eva shariradibihi sharirasthiti matra prayojanam kurvan. He performed actions only necessary for sustaining the body. Aham karomi idi abhimana varjitaha. Free from the egoistic action like I am doing or I act. Shariradi cheshta matram loka drishtya kurvan na apnodi kilbisham. Though he appears to act at the level of the body from the loka drishtya, from the world, from the appearance for the world, he does not incur sin. Evam bhutya Ilbisha praptihi asambhavat. For such a person, the possibility of incurring sin does not exist. Kilbisham samsaram na apnoti. He does not attain samsara or the bondage. Why? Jnanagdi dagda sarva karma tvat. Because all his actions have been burnt by the fire of knowledge. Adipradibandena muchyateva. He is liberated without any obstruction. Purvokta samyak darshana phala anuvada eva esha. This is merely a restatement of the previously declared result of the right knowledge. Evam shariram kevalam karma ityasya arthasya parigrahe niravadyam bhavati. Thus the interpretation of mere bodily action is flawless. The Shankaracharya concludes that the mere bodily action refers only to the actions necessary for maintaining the body, performed without the ego or desire. Such actions do not produce bondage, and the knowledge and the knower of the self remains free from all the actions, because all karma has been burned by the knowledge. So with this, the 21st verse is over. Now there is an introduction for the 22nd verse, and the 22nd verse we will do it on Monday. Om Purnamata Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you. Dhanyavad. Prakash, can you hear?
Yes, Mendroji. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Yes. Is the chat and hand raising? I'm not a moderator, so can you make me a moderator, Mendroji?
Yeah.
Yes. So, yes, the chat and hand raising are open. I've also shared the links for the YouTube channel and the Apple and Spotify, Apple Podcast and Spotify links where you can access the earlier talks. And then you can also access them in Clubhouse. So if you have any questions resulting from this session, please come up. Yeah, hand raising is open.
Namaste Venkat. Namaste Venkat.
Namaste Prakash. Bindruji, I'm trying to connect the dots because each of these verses are interconnected.
Right.
From the time you started that karma vikarma, that is the bodha is for the buddhi, right, Bindruji?
Right. Bodhavyam.
Bodhavyam. Yes. So Bhagavad Gita is also called Buddhi Yoga. Why it is so? Why this particular name is given? Because my question will follow. I have a certain interpretation on this.
See, the Buddhi Yoga means the Bodha which the Bhagavad Gita is talking about is Atma Bodha. And Atma Bodha is the one which will now make sense for the karmas not being done by the body as my karma, that mama ahankara based karma. So all those things are based on the Buddhi Yoga, where the Buddhi has to realize that Aham Brahmasmi, or I am Atma Brahma.
Yes, I think this is apparent because the way I see this whole navigation was that Bodha happened, the Bodhavyam, Bodhavyancha Vikarmanaha, Akarmanascha Bodhavyam, Kahana Karmano Gati. And that Bodhavyam happened to Buddhi. And this inversion, right, that is where the turning point is. The one who sees akarma in karma, that is the aparoksha. that Sakshi. Then the other one, the inversion was one who sees karma and akarma. That means that that is the Bodhavyam connection.
Right.
What happened was the buddhi has been now isolated, or you can call it in a way that Gnanagni the karmana, the one followed, right? Now buddhi is the one that once this buddhi sees karma, vikarma, all of it, now he is in a position to receive the highest truth, where Gnanagni will take out, that will do the buddhi shuddhi. This is how I saw, because my earlier misunderstanding was, because I took the path of yoga, where there is no job for the buddhi. Because you just need to listen to the instruction and do it. What would lead to is a chitta shuddhi in a way, getting ready for karma. Here, the buddhi has been isolated and given this knowledge, bodhavyam, the bodha happened. Now, the chitta shuddhi follows with the karmana. Now, you see that the impurities are getting burnt out. It's like a buddhi is roasted in a way, in the crude terms. Then the following verses are about, the one you covered today, Tekta Sarva Parigraha. Once it is burnt and it now has all the qualities, Shamadama, Titiksha, Shraddha, Uprati, Samadhana, all those qualities are apparent. Hence, the Kurvanna Pnoti Kilbisham, whatever karma done is Paparahita. Hence, further, the buddhi is now getting sort of, further as an instrument for yajna. That means this Pandita is still not, the Pandita is still not, it is Pandita Buddha, right? Is not still Gnani yet. The way I saw this was, is not still a Gnani yet. Till that yajna, bhava come in. Still not there. While the Bhashya and all already celebrating. This is how I saw this.
You should understand one thing. The buddhi, which is being spoken here, the bodhavyam or the thing, as a part of the jivatma, as an instrument of him, where the ignorance, avidya, or the, what you call delusion, was present, because of which all actions were felt as my actions, and my body, everything was related to that delusion or the avidya. What is the Jnanagni doing? The fire of knowledge is doing. Fire of knowledge is burning. Sarva karmani is the word given. Jnanagni sarva karmani. But how it doesn't act. Jnana can only burn ignorance or remove ignorance. Jnana doesn't touch karma. So you have to understand this aspect. In the buddhi is the place where jnana can function. And in the buddhi, karma is not a activity at all. Buddhi is vastu tantratvad. Buddhi, or the instrument of comprehension or apprehension, what it can understand or know, that instrument can only know. There is no action in it. Knowing is not an action. Because when you are knowing a fire, there is no action involved in it. The fire is known, that's all. There is no activity called knowing in knowing a fire. Same way, when the Pandita or the Jivan Mukta knows that I am the Atma, which is Akarta, non-doer Atma. That aspect of the knowledge releases him from the I am the doer, which he was thinking earlier, associating with the body, mind, intellect, chitta, and the Atma, which is the body, mind, intellect, complex, sense organs, etc. That has been thought as mine. I am the body, the instruments are mine, the memories and the sankalpa, all those things are mine. This this allocation of the ignorance to tie it to the physical entity and the mind, etc., is what is getting burned by the knowledge. I am the Akarta Atma. And when that happens, you are no more associating yourself with the acts which are going on at the mind, body, intellectual level, at the functional level, Jivatma level. Because you are not the Jivatma, you are the Paramatma or the Atma, pure Atma. This is what is the Pandita's knowledge. That is the reason why he doesn't incur sin, because he is a sakshi to the body, mind, intellect, and the complex external functions which is functioning. Abhipratosan, even those things are fully engaged in the act, whether he is a Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Shudra, or whatever it is, the Swadharma, when it is being performed by the body, the performance of the body is seen as a witnessed by the individual as Atma. I am Atma, Gudakesha, Sarva Bhudashayastita. Everybody, in everybody, I am the Atma. And that functioning of the body is seen me as a witness. Therefore, there is no chance for me to be tainted by the actions of this body which is being done, because I don't find it as my body. Because the mind limitation with this body has been burnt. When I associated with the Atma, I became Sarva Bhudashayasya. I am residing in every body. So when that aspect comes, there is no me, my, or this thing. He becomes Sarva Bhuda, Sarvatma Bhava. That is the only time when he becomes the Pandita or a Jivan Mukta.
Got it, Balaji. I think this is, then why repurpose buddhi for yajna?
So you should not consider the buddhi as the intellect of the, mano buddhi hankara chitta, that buddhi. Here buddhi is Atma itself. When there is, I told you, it is the Swarupa, Swabhava of Atma to know itself, Swaprakasha, that self-effulgence aspect, or knowing itself, but not as an object, as the knower itself. But when, due to ignorance or maya or avidya, he considers the known aspect as the buddhi, then it becomes manobuddhi ahankara. The manobuddhi ahankara aspect is from the error of judgment of the understanding of the knower as not different from the knowledge itself. When that happens, the buddhi, the atma are not two separate, is one and the same. But when it is not known, then it becomes a instrument of the separated out the individual, which actually speaking there is no separation. There is only Brahman or Atman, which is there, all the thing. That separation is a error in apprehension. So non-apprehension of the knower as the knowledge itself created the separation as the object knower. I am knowing myself as an object. That time it becomes the chitta or the mano buddhi ahankara chitta.
I think this is fine, Banuji. I'm just trying to reason out why do we even have Yajna Prakarana if it is apparent? Right, Banuji.
That yajna prakarana will be known. What is the yajna? The 23rd verse onwards going to talk. It is not the same yajna which was spoken in the 3rd chapter, where surrendering the fruits of action as a yajna. That yajna is different from the yajna which is coming in this verse for 23rd onwards to 33. Only when we go through that, we will know that the yajna is the natural behavior of a Jivan Mukta or a Pandita.
We will wait for this. Thank you, Banuji.
Thank you. Namaste, Srini.
Namaste, Vidyaji. One thing I wanted to ask was this karmani akarmaya paschet akarmani karmayaha is has a strong parallel to avijñātam vijanatam vijñātam avijanatam of the Kenopanishad. It looks like, actually, if we go in depth and think, both are same, it looks like to me. Do you think both are
Almost,
same? Right?
see, they both are same. Even not only that, even when the Ya Nisha Sarva Bhutani, there also you will find that, the same type of paradox is being spoken about.
Yeah, and immediately there it comes like Pratibodha Viditam Paramamrutatvam. Here Jnanagni Dagda. Even Pratibodha Viditam statement and this Jnanagni Dagda Karmani also same thing.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
Yeah, that's what.
The direction is the same. The methodology is the same. Words are different. That's all.
Yeah, the formula seems to be, once we go inside and look at same formula seems to be applied. Right? It looks like, yeah.
Right.
Thank you, Bindu. That's what I wanted to check. Yeah.
Thank you, Srini. So, since nobody else, Vinod wanted to come and ask something.
And Binduji, quickly on this
yajna
thing, which you are just discussing with Venkatji. So eventually the yajna that is going to come up is not only the yajna happening for the jnani, but even for common people the same yajna is happening, right? Like in general,
common people also, it's the same thing is happening, but they do not know about it.
So that's thank you.
And that is there where they are incurring kilbisham or papa or sin, because their aham karta, I am the doer, is coming in between. Therefore, they get the merit or demerit of their actions. When the akartrutva is there, the merit or demerit doesn't arise at all.
It's like pasyan apina pashyati, like that. I think that kind of thing happens.
Right. Okay,
I've invited Vinod, but I think he probably has no question, Doji.
Okay, fine. Then let us close then. We'll meet on Monday. Sunday is the general question answer session, which is going to come.
Yes, Sunday we'll meet at 8:30 p.m. IST for Advaita open discussion with Bindoji. You have 1.5 complete time to ask questions. Then Monday we'll reconvene for Bhagavad Gita and 8:30 p.m. IST. So if you want to catch up on the replays, you can do so in Clubhouse, or you can go to YouTube channel, which is shared in the chat, Advaita Retold. There is also a couple of links on Apple and Spotify. There's also a book penned by Artemisia titled The Imaginary Door, where you have some insights that Artemisia has penned into the format of a book coming from Bindoji's earlier presentations. So with that, thank you everyone for coming, and thank you very much, Bindoji. Over to you to close the room.
Thank you, Prakash. Thank you, Venkat, and thank you, Srini. So Sunday, I am reminding you, Prakash, your questions are you have maintained that you'll ask on Sunday. So keep it ready for Sunday.
Mataji. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So see you all on Sunday. Hari Om. Good night.
Hari Om. Good night.